Hello and welcome to Fast and Factual on Firstpost, where we get you the top 50 headlines from around the world. I'm Alison Lagrange, coming to you live from Durban, South Africa. Let's begin. In our top stories, US President Joe Biden and his opponent Donald Trump traded barbs in the fiery presidential election debate. The two sparred over US economy, global wars and abortion. Biden called Trump a loser and talked about his criminal convictions, while the Republican candidate invoked Biden's son Hunter Biden's conviction over federal gun charges. Iranians are voting to choose their new president today. The Guardian Council of the country had picked 6 candidates for the presidential race, but 2 candidates withdrew their nomination, leaving 4 candidates in the fray. The presidential election was due next year in Iran. However, President Ebrahim Raisi's death in a plane crash last month led to an early election. And in Israel, anti-government protests gathered outside Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's home, calling for his resignation. The protesters waved flags and banged on snare drums. The demonstrations come at a time when Israel faces the threat of a multi-front war with Hamas in Gaza and Hezbollah in Lebanon. Ultra-Orthodox Jews hit the streets in Tel Aviv to protest the mandatory military service. The protest followed Israeli Supreme Court's ruling that came earlier this week. The court asked state to begin drafting ultra-Orthodox Jewish seminary students into the country's military. Israeli law bound men to serve in the military for 3 years and women for 2 years from the age of 18. Ultra-Orthodox Jews were exempted from this law until last year. And Canada has imposed sanctions on 7 Israeli settlers for extreme violence in the West Bank. The country has also taken measures against 5 entities, including settler organizations. Ottawa sanctioned 4 Israelis last month for the same reason. The move follows similar measures taken by the US and the UK. European Union leaders signed a security agreement with Ukraine during Brussels summit. The deal underlines the EU's support for Kiev in its war against Moscow for a 3rd year. The 2-day summit marks the first meet between the leaders of 27 countries since the European elections earlier this month. Setting a strategic course for the bloc for the next 5 years tops the summit's agenda. And during the Brussels summit, European Union leaders nominated Ursula von der Leyen for a second 5-year term as president of the European Commission, while former Portuguese Premier Antonio Costa was picked as the future chair of their European Council meetings. The Estonian Prime Minister Kaja Kallas will be the next EU foreign policy chief. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni criticized the European Council's proposals for the top leadership. She abstained from the vote for nominating top leadership, calling it a great mistake and a disrespect to Europeans. Meloni said the method of electing the leaders was wrong and that the leaders should have changed, adding that the result of the European Parliament election showed people wanted a change. Hundreds gathered in central Paris to protest against the far right. This comes as France is preparing to hold legislative elections on the 30th of June. The opinion polls suggest victory for the far right in the first round. The second round of voting is scheduled for the 7th of July. A train collided with a bus in southern Slovakia at a railway crossing, killing at least 5 people and leaving 5 more injured. The passenger train was carrying around 200 people from Prague to Budapest. The roof Terminal 1 of Delhi's Indira Gandhi International Airport collapsed this morning due to heavy rainfall. Now, the roof collapse killed at least 1 person, while several others were left injured. The incident disrupted flight operations at Terminal 1 in one of the busiest airports in the world. Ruckus gripped the Indian Parliament after opposition demanded discussion on the National Eligibility Entrance Test for undergraduates. The opposition cited alleged irregularities in exams conducted for admissions in government and private medical colleges by the National Testing Agency. The proceedings of the lower house of Parliament were adjourned until the 1st of July. Indonesia's immigration authorities arrested 103 Taiwanese over a suspected cybercrime operation. The accused were operating out of Bali Island. The officials said that the suspects scam people overseas. The sting marks the biggest arrest in Indonesia this year. On to some climate news. People of southern Chile have no respite from the freezing temperatures. Last week, the mercury dipped to record minus 14.7 degrees Celsius in Punta Arenas city. Due to the cold spell, citizens have started facing water shortages in several parts. According to climatologists, the polar cold wave is likely to last for 7 more days. And amidst concerns over climate change, ballet dancers performed at the bank of the River Thames in London. The performance aimed at raising hope amid increasing impact of climate change. The performance is a part of the capital's Climate Action Week. In India, several parts of Delhi and its surrounding areas received heavy rainfall, marking an end to the weeks of sweltering heatwave. The Indian Meteorological Department has declared the onset of monsoon in the capital. The department has also issued heavy rainfall alert for parts of Gujarat state in the west coast. The number of days with the temperatures reaching 35 degrees Celsius have increased in 20 of the world's largest capitals, triggering severe temperatures and heat-related illnesses. In major cities like Delhi, Buenos Aires and Jakarta, the days with 35 degrees Celsius temperatures have gone up by 52% in the last 30 years. The data is revealed by a London-based think tank. Now, a team of European scientists has blamed climate change for the death of 1,300 people during the Hajj pilgrimage. Temperatures exceeded 51 degrees Celsius at Mecca's Grand Mosque. Scientists claim that the temperature would have been 2.5 degrees lower if there had been no human-caused climate change influence. And the United Arab Emirates has directed mosque preachers to shorten their Friday prayers to maximum 10 minutes. The ongoing heatwave continues to engulf the region, prompting authorities to take severe steps. The directive by the UAE's General Authority for Islamic Affairs endowments will last until early October. And European scientists claim that the wildfires above the Arctic Circle line have resulted in significant carbon emissions. The emissions are at the third highest for this time of year in 2 decades of monitoring. The EU's Copernicus Atmospheric Monitoring Service showed some 6.8 megatons of carbon has been released this month from the wildfires. And on to business and tech news now. Meta is considering to block news content from Facebook in Australia. The company said it would do so if Australia makes it pay licensing fees. Licensing fees are payments that Meta would need to pay media outlets for the right to share their news articles on Facebook. Meta took the same approach when Canada introduced similar laws last year. And tech giant Microsoft is informing some of its customers about a cybersecurity breach. It said Russian hackers allegedly stole emails from its customers. Microsoft notified its clients with details about the compromised data. Back in January, the company had said that a Russian state-backed group hacked into its corporate systems. Fashion giant H&M is planning to offer more discounts in the second half of the year. This comes as the company tries to win back its customers from its competitors. H&M reported that it expects a slump in its sales for the month of June. Yesterday, the company's shares dropped by almost 14% due to doubts about its profit goals. U.S. federal agency, the NTSB, or the National Transportation Safety Board, has sanctioned plane maker Boeing. It said Boeing violated investigation laws concerning the 737 MAX incident. The probe pertains to a January 5th incident where a Boeing 737 MAX made an emergency landing after its door panel blew out midair. The NTSB said that Boeing shared details to the media about the investigation, which it wasn't supposed to. And oil prices rose on Asian trading hours yesterday. The price rise is attributed to expectations of an interest rate cut by the U.S. Central Bank. If interest rates go down, it could mean more people will buy oil. Traders believe there's a 64% chance the Federal Reserve will make its first rate cut in September. And UK-based oil and gas giant British Petroleum, or BP, said it is going on a hiring freeze. BP, which had been focusing on renewable energy, has also decided to shift its focus on oil and gas instead. Now, these measures are because of growing investor anxiety about BP's large investments in renewable energy. Investors are wary that such projects require a lot of capital but won't generate ample returns. An American pharmacy company, Walgreens, said it would be closing stores in the U.S. This decision is due to low customer spending, which is hurting its business. The firm's CEO said about 700 underperforming stores could be shut. Walgreens has also cut down its profit estimates for the rest of the year. It posted its quarterly earnings that missed the targets. And Finnish telecommunications company Nokia will acquire Infinera Corp, which designs optical networking equipment. The deal is worth over $2 billion. Nokia is looking to strengthen its network infrastructure business as its mobile business operations decline. At least 70% of the deal will be carried out in cash. And sales of Zeekr electric vehicles rise in Russia last year. It has boosted the Chinese car makers' presence in the growing EV market. Chinese car makers now lead local competitors in Russia's expanding EV sector. They have captured over half of Russia's car market since Western companies exited following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And a Croatian startup named Project 3 unveiled their self-driving robot taxi. The two-seat robot vehicle is named Vern. It is expected to launch in 2026, and the company's CEO said about 300 were involved in the car's making, and it took 5 years for it to develop. Moving to sports, and we start with cricket. India have entered the final of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2024. They secured a 68-run win over England in the semi-finals yesterday. The men in blue batted first and put up 171 for 7 in the first innings. England were bundled out for 103 in their run chase. India will face South Africa in the final on the 29th of June. And Indian skipper Rohit Sharma shattered the record for most fours in the history of T20 World Cup. He completed 113 fours during India's match against England in the semi-final. The previous record was held by Mahela Jayawardene, who had 111 fours under his belt. Rohit is also ranked second after Chris Gayle in the list of most sixes for ICC Men's T20 World Cup. In football, Argentina's Lionel Messi had to skip a Copa America training session with his team. He has suffered a muscle injury. This casts doubt on Messi's participation in his final group stage game against Peru. The Inter Miami player has said it might be wiser to sit out of the match, with his team already making it to the next stage after 2 wins. And Uruguay inched a step closer to making it to the Copa America knockout stage. They thrashed Bolivia 5-0. Liverpool forward Darwin Núñez starred in the match. The 25-year-old scored for the 7th consecutive match for his side. Uruguay, who are ranked 14th by FIFA, are vying for their record 16th Copa America title. And Venezuela reached the quarterfinals of the Copa America. They downed Mexico 1-0 in Group B at the Sophie Stadium in Los Angeles. Salomon Rondon netted a goal in the second half to his team in the quarters, and the win has ensured Venezuela move to the top of the group. And in tennis news, Andy Murray resumed training in the lead-up to Wimbledon. The 37-year-old recently underwent back surgery. Murray said he would take as much time as possible before announcing his decision to participate in the Grand Slam. Wimbledon begins on Monday. And US's Taylor Fritz continued to march on towards securing his third Rothé International title. He downed Chinese qualifier Jin Chengshan 7-6, 7-6 in the quarterfinals. Fritz will next face Australian Alexander Vucic in the semis, and the American has clinched the title back in 2019 and 2022. In badminton, the Indian shuttlers Trisa Jali and Gayatri Gopichand advanced to the US Open women's doubles quarterfinals. The top seeds beat their opponents from Chinese Taipei 16-21, 21-11, 21-19 in the round of 16. The Indian pair will next face Japan's Roi Hirokami and Yuna Kato. And in basketball, LeBron James' son, Bronny James, was picked by the Los Angeles Lakers in the NBA draft. The move paves the path for the first father-son combination in the history of the league. Bronny could possibly debut for the Lakers in NBA Summer League games in Las Vegas. He has had a decent record while playing for his university. In chess, India's D. Gukesh launched his Superbet Classic 2024 on a winning note. The Indian Grandmaster defeated Deek Bogdan Daniel of Romania in the first round. In the second round, he secured a draw against his Russian opponent, Ian Nepomuceno, after a match that extended to 90 moves. Now, Gukesh is at the top of the table with 1.5 points, tied with Fabiano Caruana. And in entertainment news now, Inside Out 2 has crossed $800 million at the global box office. It has now become one of the top 10 highest-grossing animated films of all time. The film released on the 14th of June. And Letitia Wright is considering to return as Shuri in the Black Panther films. She said in an interview that she will continue playing the role of Shuri. Wright also hinted at the possibility of an upcoming Black Panther 3 film. She said, and I quote, "There is a lot coming up." Austin Butler revealed that he had auditioned for the role of Peter in the Hunger Games. He said that he didn't get a call back about the audition status. Butler said this in an interview with Josh Hutcherson, who played the role of Peter. And Sarah Michelle Gellar has been cast in the Dexter prequel series Original Sin. She will play the role of Miami Metro Police Department's head. The story follows the life of Dexter Morgan, who becomes a serial killer in Miami. The release date is yet to be announced. And streaming giant Netflix has added 4 new cast members to the upcoming season of One Piece. They are Callum Kerr, Julia Rowald, Rob Coletti, and Tai Kiak. The story follows the adventures of a pirate crew in a fantastical world. According to reports, the show will start streaming next year. Meanwhile, Netflix is also set to turn Tilly Cole, A Thousand Boy Kisses, into a film. It will be directed by Perks of Being a Wallflower's Steven Chbosky, and the story is of a 17-year-old boy who wants to find his childhood soulmate. Additional details about the film are under wraps. And the makers of Batman Caped Crusader released its first trailer. The video shows Batman fighting against several anti-heroes. A gang war erupts in the Gotham City, followed by a hunt for Batman. All the 10 episodes will stream in August this year. Camilo Cabello's 4th studio album, CXOXO, is out. The album is a love letter to the city of Miami, which is her hometown. Out of the 14 tracks, 2 have been made in collaboration with rapper Drake. Cabello said in an interview that the album has a big baddie energy vibe. And the Glastonbury Summer Music Festival of 2024 has begun in the UK. The lineup consists of performances by Dua Lipa and Coldplay, Shania Twain and Sa. For the first time, 2 all-female bands will be performing the headline spots. An American DJ and producer, Diplo, has been sued for distributing adult content. The complaint filed a lawsuit in California and claims to have had an intimate relationship with Diplo. In November last year, she found out that he had been allegedly distributing images and videos of other intimate moments between them. And that's it on this episode of Fast and Factual. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Firstpost.
Obviously today the T20 World Cup bandwagon has moved across